the upward and downward spiral, the increasing or decreasing of the eternal mind. This is an excerpt from one of my videos on the mysteries and the kingdom of the continuance. Came out both those series. It was speaking about this increasing or decreasing of the eternal mind. I mean, if the mind is eternal, the mind of the human spirit, this mind of Christ in us, based on the eternal fact of this mind of your spirit being eternal, and a natural carnal mind being only temporary, needing to be renewed after the human spirit by the Holy Spirit. So based on this fact, in my series it comes called The Eternality of the Human Spirit. If you don't believe that, you got to listen to that series or ask your father. He'll explain it to you. The human spirit is the only eternal part about us. The rest of our minds and body are temporary in a temporal created world that was expressed as eternal world. Yet we got cut off from that mind. So, based on that fact, this human spirit is either going to increase as God intended to increase, or it's going to decrease. And both increase and decrease is an eternal matter. It never ends. I mean, it's not annihilation as far as going to hell. It's not annihilation. Yet you wouldn't want to go there with this mind of our spirit. You won't go there with the mind of your spirit if you realize it's eternal and that God has desired that you would increase with the increase of God. So this excerpt I'll be sharing with you, it brought out this horrible fact that the human spirit, either you use it or you'll lose it. It'll decrease, but the decreasing will be forever. There's no end to it. That's like with the increasing and our coming to increase with God. It never ends. It goes on for eternity. It's eternal. People won't argue about it. I won't argue. I'm going with what my father told me and what scriptures clearly reveals to it. Now I can't bring all that stuff out in this one video. Just this is an excerpt. And I'll give some idea and I'll give you the various other videos that develop this with the biblical text and all. So here's that excerpt. In the sequence of the eternal realm, at the beginning of or end, it was. Our minds think past, present, future, but God's mind thinks of eternal, the eternal form. I say like a circle, right? Has a beginning, a full, it come full, they call come full circle, but that full circle isn't like a dog chases its tail, but it's like an upward spiral. You go full circle and all of a sudden, it doesn't come back to what we call the beginning of a circle, all the way to the end of a circle, but it springs up and increases, springs up and increases, upward spiral. That's why we expand, increase with God in the mind of the Spirit. But this other mind, if you follow the mind of Christ, it's a repeating, going over the same old ground over and over again. Circle and start over again, circle, start over again. And if you don't see that, it's all that circle becomes a downward spiral, becoming less and less and less. You end up mindless. Then you get in the matter of the mind. God. You get there as a reprobate mind, you don't want that to happen. It's a downward spiral. You call it eternal decreasing. There's no end to the decreasing. Something eternal never ends. It only gets cut off from its original intent. God, as I was saying, only grace He can show someone that rejects who He is and who they were. You who reject Him. The only mercy and grace He can show you is to erase your mind completely. Here's this eternal body without a mind. And here's these devils and demons who left their original habitat in the state and were disembodied. They're just spirits. They have no body. That's why the demons would desire to possess a body. Temporary bodies, this bioless body. They're going to get these eternal bodies and possess them. But thank God, the only grace God can show you. It's to erase your mind, you will know what happens. But you're eternal. They're eternal. How you throw a body into the fires of hell they get into without getting into that? It doesn't burn up. It's eternal. Eternal body can't burn up. Can't be annihilated, you know. So these people think that death is annihilation. No. How could it be annihilation when our idea of death is done away with? It says the death and the grave are thrown to the lake of fire. Eternal realm. No more death. It's called the second death, but don't take the definition of death and put it to the second death. Second death is eternal. There's no coming back. Only getting, I guess you say, worse and worse and worse forever. Learning but never come to knowledge of the truth. And it's a grace. Because you had a minute when you were in this holding house of hell, you haven't remembered who you were and what life was all about. But when you turn after judgment, the white throne judgment, and its downward fall beyond that, He erases the mind. That's the only grace He can show you. Whereas in the upward spiral, that mind's increased. You expand and increase with the mind of God. You increase with God. On this matter of increasing or decreasing, you can increase in the wisdom and knowledge of God, or you can decrease. It will take forever to increase with the increase of God. It goes on forever. But you continue upward, the upward spiral. Now, if you don't want this, it'll take forever to decrease from this knowledge. It's hidden in this mind of Christ in your spirit. This gives you some idea of the depths of this eternal mind. Either an upward spiral to increase with God, in that place prepared by Him, eternal place prepared eternally, and no beginning days or end of days, the was, is, and ever shall be, or you can go with a downward spiral. You'll have to decrease, and that same decrease will be eternal. My God. If that doesn't stir your interest, I don't know what will. It's got my attention. I'm sitting up here 3 and 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. Couldn't go to sleep. You had to get on this USB recorder, and I'm going through it. And he says, go to your mysteries. Well, I had 6 recordings on this mystery. I said, well, what about that? He said, just start listening to it. So I did. And he said, take notes. I started taking notes. My God. I saw more. I could add another 6 more recordings to that. There's no end to it. That's what he said. That's eternal. That's eternal mind of your spirit. You got to begin somewhere. Begin now. Or you get a decrease that'll go on forever. My God, I don't want that. I want to increase with the increase of God. From one degree of glory to another degree of glory, from faith to faith to faith to faith, getting more substance of things they're all hoping for, and getting more and more evidence of things not seen. And losing this steadfast, long gaze upon things seen, and gain this interest to get a continual, steadfast, longing gaze upon those things unseen, which are eternal. Sure, those that are not eternal is forever as well. Which one do you want? I said before you, life or death. It's called the second death. The first death is annihilation, because it leads to the second death, which is eternal, and a constant decreasing. Continuing that mystery, this decreasing is the only mercy He could show you. Because if you went to hell, ended up in Gehenna, the eternal abode that was prepared for the devil's angels, not for humanity. The only mercy He could show you was to decrease that mind, because that would be more torment than you could ever handle. It's enough to go to Gehenna, but to go there with this mind, knowing what you missed, He has to decrease that mind. How His love for you. Now you have some idea what the psalmist meant. If I make my bed in hell, Thou art there. His love taking a total different direction. So His eternal offspring would not have to suffer. Because of fall for the stupid lie, you won't suffer. Somewhere in the near eternal future, if you could call it that, it would decrease. Oh God, it doesn't have to happen. You can increase. It says in scriptures that the things will be forgotten, never called to mind again. With the increase of God, the cares and fears of this life and the pains and suffering you had to go, the road to the kingdom is pains and tribulations, but it got you out of here. And vice versa. You'll be forgotten, never called to mind again. But you'll live forever. Is that what you wanted? You want God in your life? He said, for you to not have me in your life eternally, how my love for you I would decrease your mind, and you'll never recall me again. But for those in an upper spot, this temporary experience you had to go through is complete. And you go on forever, increasing with the increase of God. Now you can understand what the songwriter meant when he said, let sorrow do its work. Send grief and pain. Sweet are thy messengers, sweet their refrain, when we can sing together, more love of Christ today. Increase. By the grace of God, I beg you, don't allow him, this devil, to have the Father take his offspring and decrease that mind. Out his love for you, he offers to increase with the increase of God and continue in the kingdom of the continuance forever. God bless.